that to also for replay. So that's how it works. Now, yeah, we need to get down to Gbubemi Atimomo this morning. Good morning.
Good morning, Omas. Good morning, Glenn.
Next, I say good morning to Mr. C.
Good morning, Amas. Good morning, Gbubemi. Good morning, Lagos.
So if we're ready, let's the gentlemen to dig into the newspaper this morning as we begin with the Daily Trust newspaper. And it comes as a result of what the British Broadcasting Corporation, BBC, is reporting. And so the Daily Trust picks it up from there saying, no evidence President Tinubu forged Chicago certificate. And that's what it is saying. Mr. C, walk us through this story in the light of also what happened certain press conference yesterday.
Okay, thank you. So, a report purportedly emanating from the British Broadcasting Corporation was released sometime yesterday, and it appears to suggest that there is no evidence that the current president forged or supposedly forged the certificate he tendered to the Independent National Electoral Commission. Now, this report was issued by the BBC's Global Disinformation Team, and they said they examined three different diplomas, what they presume to be the original diploma issued in 1979, and then replacement diplomas that would have been issued in the 90s and 2003. And according to their analysis, comparing all the documents, that there's significantly no difference. That's my understanding of the report, and that the CSU registrar, Mr. Westbeck, had supposedly indicated during his deposition that the template for the CSU diploma had changed several times over the years, and that any request for a new diploma would resemble the current template at that time. Now, that is their contention. However, there was a deposition ordered by an American court, and Mr. Westbeck represented the Chicago State University, and he was sworn under oath, and he was asked numerous questions. Now, the certified true copy of that entire proceedings is about 248 pages. Now, he was asked a specific question, and he did say that, to the best of his knowledge and the information available to him, the CSU did not issue the particular certificate that was tendered to INEC. Now, we must remember something. Lying on oath anywhere in the world amounts to perjury. Now, in Nigeria, more often than not, people get away with it because there appears to be little will on the part of the prosecutors to prosecute people for perjury. And I speak particularly because I've been a trial lawyer for over 16 years, and I have seen people take the oath in court, swear to tell the truth, and from the moment they start answering questions, it is anything but the truth that emanates from their lips. Now, in America, it's a completely different ballgame. People have been known to go to jail on account of perjury. Now, the registrar has said officially the document did not emanate from us. Does that amount to forgery? Maybe yes, maybe not. But what is clear is the presumed owner of the document says it's not my document. What would really clear all of this is for the current president to address the nation and just say, look, guys, this has been one huge distraction. It's not really what it is. These are the facts. Spell out the facts. Less than 3-4 minutes, he's done, and the country can move on. But personally, I do not agree with the BBC report because I've seen the deposition, I've read the deposition on oath, I've read the CTCs, and there is no reason why the CSU registrar would lie on oath, knowing fully well the implications for lying.
Thank you very much, Mr. C. Let's get to Gbubemi Atimomo this morning with the Vanguard newspaper. The headline says, International Girl Child Day, education key to overcoming challenges. That's the First Lady, Oluremi Tinubu, speaking here. So, Gbubemi, like you, when you break it down, would education just be enough to get the girl child out of the circle of poverty and suppression, allegedly hurdles placed in our way to get to what she really wants to be, her aspiration in life?
Okay, so in terms of education, piggybacking off your last question, education would not just be for the girl child. it would also be for us as members of society, because there are two parts. So there's access to education for the girl child, which means giving her equal opportunities with the boy child as well, to be able to seek education to the highest levels that she desires, and not to be restricted to certain types of careers. Then there's also the part where we as members of society need to also be made aware of the fact that the girl child can aspire to whatever level she wants to aspire to, and to provide the necessary support. So starting from even from the family, for example, parents not limiting the girl child, parents providing the same opportunities as the boy child. If you're sending a boy up to university, send the girl up to university as well. If the girl wants to study engineering or any other course which may be determined to be a male dominated course, providing opportunities for her to be able to do that as well. Now, this is not necessarily a problem amongst educated society, quote unquote. It's more of a problem in villages, where literacy levels are quite low, where poverty is an issue. So typically, parents would prefer to send their boys to school, because they need the girls to stay at home to help the mother, to trade or farm or whatever it is. And those are the sort of things that also impact on them. Then there are also cultural practices where, for example, in some villages, girls are not allowed to go out in public, you know, um, and that also limits the kind of education that they get. So some of the solutions to address these have been to have like girls only schools, where girls can go to school, to study and all of that. But typically those kind of schools only exist up until maybe secondary school, and then after secondary school, what happens? What if the girl aspires for more? How does she beat all those cultural limitations and all the challenges that society has placed ahead of her? So the work rightly rests with the relevant agencies of government, government itself, to be able to ensure that the girl child has as much access to opportunities as she desires, in line with the aspirations of the boy child as well.
Thank you very much, Gbubemi Atimomo, for breaking that down. So it means education, equal access is the key for the girl child as well as the boy child, because if you leave one behind, you're leaving everyone behind at the end of the day. Mr. C, it's money matters away from court issues, and let's see how this one fits you this morning. It's from the Premium Times, and it is saying the Naira hits new low at the parallel market and then strengthens at the official market. So it might seem like, where would you get yours? That's what you decide for yourself eventually. So walk us through this and how it affects the size of bread for breakfast, and maybe how you mold your eba eventually for dinner.
Okay, thank you. So the Naira hit a new low yesterday at the parallel markets. Now, what is the parallel markets? The parallel market is a market outside the official window where people resort to obtaining much needed foreign exchange. Now, the official window is for importers and certain designated bodies whose products and services are not on the prohibited list. Now, at the official window, the Naira currently is 765 Naira 83 kobo. Now, the challenge with that is the supply of forex at the official window is limited. Two, the queue to get the money out, because you must also remember Nigerians who have traveled for school to study abroad also source their forex at the official rates, and there's a huge queue. So demand far outstrips supply at the official market. So the result to the parallel market. Now, the parallel market, you will notice that there's a huge gap between the official rate and the black market rate, because the parallel market rate shuts down the time required to get the dollars, but you pay a premium for it. Now, that gap has widened in the last 4 to 6 months, and a lot of Nigerians had believed that with the announcement of the managed fruit of the Naira in May by the current president, that we'll see that gap close to about 5% of, plus or minus 5% of the value of the official exchange rate. That has not played out. The question is why. Nigeria continues to suffer an acute foreign exchange deficit, and we can point to certain factors. One, the incident of oil theft continues to bedevil this country. In fact, in another of the stories, the Senate has ordered an investigation. Just yesterday, or 2 days ago, Nigeria LNG, which is a company that is being properly run by the NNPC and foreign multinationals, complained that in the first 7 months of last year, that's from January to August last year, they lost almost $7 billion in revenue. So the truth of the matter is, we're not producing enough, so we're not earning enough, and we're not meeting our OPEC quotas. We're not, put simply, we're not earning enough. And because we're not earning enough, we're not getting enough revenue, but the demand isn't going down. In fact, the demand continues to go up. Now, what does this portend for Nigerians? Very simply, you will start to witness an increase in the prices of goods and services. And the only reason why the petrol price will not go up to accommodate this is because, unofficially, subsidies back.
Thank you very much, Mr. C. I'd like the listener to know, we'll get to your messages. We see quite a number of them waiting for us to get them to align with the headlines we've treated so far. But you can still do this by sending your thoughts to the headlines we've taken thus far and the one subsequently on 0809 44 444-0981, 0809-444-0981. WhatsApp messages only. That takes me to the Punch newspaper, which Gbubemi is staring at this moment. And it says the integrated payroll and personnel identification system, aka IPS, federal government to suspend unregistered workers' salaries. So how does this affect the price of petrol?
Well, if they don't get their salaries, they can't buy petrol. Okay, so the federal government has issued a notice to civil servants to update their details on the integrated payroll and personal identification system, information system rather, which is popularly known as IPIS. Now, so this has followed a series of events where civil servants have been given the opportunity to update their details to confirm or reconfirm their status. So if we remember quite correctly, IPIS was introduced, I think about 2 or 3 years ago, thereabouts, as a means of sanitizing the database of civil servants across the federal civil service to be able to determine who exactly the workers are, because we've always had a great incidence of ghost workers. So this updating of the details is in line with ensuring that we eliminate ghost workers. Now, unfortunately, directive was given at the end of August for civil servants to update their details. By the end of September, it was found out that not all of them had done so. So the grace period was further extended for another month, which was at the end of this month. So the directive has said that if by November, people have not updated their details, they will be removed from IPIS and they will not earn salary. So for me, I'm just wondering, it's the situation of what's the delay, in making people update their details. Is there a technology use problem? But that doesn't sound plausible, because even if they can't use technology, they can get people to help them do it. Is there an awareness problem? Is it a procrastination problem? Or is it a ghost worker problem? So is this a situation where all of the actual workers have probably registered and the people left are the ghost workers? So we expect that by the end of this grace period, the government will be able to determine exactly who those on its payroll are and who those are not. Hopefully this should eventually sanitize the federal civil service, so we know exactly how many people are working for us, we know how many ghost workers they were, and then we can determine how much has been saved from all that. Now, if it's determined that there have been ghost workers as well, what I personally would like to see is a situation where these ghost workers can be identified, because obviously the federal government was paying salaries into some specific accounts. So if those accounts cannot be linked to registered details on IPIS, then we should be able to track them, and then we can determine how those people got paid salaries while they were not civil servants, and then hopefully those monies recovered.
Thank you very much, Gbubemi. It's time to drift away to see what the messages are. Very important part of our conversation this morning on Freshly Pressed on Smooth 98.1 FM. While we get these messages in, you can also let us know what your thoughts are relating to the headlines on 0809 444 0981. That said, let's say welcome to Tony Chima from Ikeja. So since the BBC has introduced another angle to this certificate forgery allegedly, it says, why didn't they request to be joined in the deposition in the first place? Very soon we will hear that president graduated from the University of the BBC. This can only happen in a corrupt society, and all these image laundry not working. The baggage are too many. Tony from Ikeja sent in that one. Pastor Dakpo sent in this one, this time around from Ojuelegba. And he says that it's high time to forgive, forget, and look forward because we've just been through too much negativity as a country, and wallowing in certificate frivolities at this stage will do us more harm than good. We should get rid of this crabology syndrome and practicing this PhD pull him down down mentality all the time is wrecking us as a people. We have had president and heads of state in the past that can't boast of 1/4 of the current president's experience and qualifications. So why the chip on Atiku's shoulder? And mercy prevails over judgment, and let love, joy, and peace reign supreme. And that's Pastor Dakbo sending love and light this morning. And then let's go to a message I see here. What's your name? Damilola from Lagos saying, Obi deserves no response to the fake news allegations. Read the deposition and all the statements made on oath at the magistrate's court to get a full perspective of facts. Also, most Nigerians don't think there is an issue with the president's certificate. Maybe only a minority that have fallen prey to fake news are presently confused about the issues. I go to Quarteg's message and it says, Mr. C, you seem to forget that you are an analyst and need to balance your analysis. And I know, let's move away and let's see what more you have to say. You seem to get in the way of anything that's not against the president is wrong. If the BBC had come up to say the document looked forged, you will praise the BBC to high heavens and the report will not be purported. Christy from Lagos sent in that one. And then Emeka comes in with a message saying, look, Mesoma Jam certificate was condemned by Jam body as fake, as we all accepted that. But when the CSU denied Tinubu's INEC certificates, we want to stay. We want it to stay. This may be the last straw that destroys the camel's back, and then it goes on. Then Dami from Ikeja comes up with a message from Oshodi saying the matter of forged academic credentials of Nigeria's political class goes beyond the Chicago and the president. His inability to resolve a 24-year-old controversy about his identity is blight the national address will not resolve. When you're a man of question standing, you go explain, even with your evidence. That's what Dami from Ikeja had to say. And then I bring in Ayo this morning with a message. Let's see. Okay. It says, well, Mr. C, as a lawyer, you know very well that it means what it means to drop some statements. And then it goes on. Goading the president to a national broadcast on diploma that he was issued. CSU did not deny issuing his diploma. Okay, they said he attended. Then which needed to be stressed. Is a non-starter for me. That's for Ayo. And then certain things are well below the office of the president. This is one of them. There is nothing there. Ayo. And then it goes on. On the forex matter, the deficit will not be wished away until we meet certain macroeconomic standards. Are those issues being addressed? Yes. I've got a pile of it now. Joseph Menye comes up with a message here saying, do you remember the statement? The release of my certificate will cause irreparable damage. Maybe we didn't take it that seriously, but reality check, students and professionals seeking opportunities abroad would be subjected to all sorts of scrutiny. Now, don't be surprised if foreign educational agencies start demanding for verification charges. All this mess just because of INEC and judicial system, and it goes on. Joseph Menye from Silver State, Lagos sent it in. I'll take two more, then we get back to our papers now. Nazom sent in this one. If his verification process would have been a straightforward process if the website was working. We keep getting an error message. Catherine from Bagada, I think probably she's speaking from a point where she's got experience accessing that website. So let's see how it works. One more message down to papers now. It goes on. In 2015, I was accosted by a VIO, and on citing my driving license, they said they didn't issue the document, and so it was fake. CSU have come out to state categorically that they didn't issue the certificate presented to the president, to INEC. What forensic measures did the BBC use to say the documents is not forged? It's okay to call a person, a few people, and then it goes on, but then don't call all of us and then Philip. That's Philip from Surulere. Mr. C, the ball is heading back to you now with this message. We say thank you all for the messages you sent in. We would like to get more of those already to 0809 4440981 is still freshly pressed on Smooth 98.1 FM. Mr. C, this next paper, the Vanguard newspaper, is screaming here. Former governors, ex-ministers, others under investigation. That's according to the EFCC. But when you walk us through this story, was there names, states where this dragnet is looking at?
Okay, thank you. So the EFCC yesterday indicated that upon the receipt of petitions, it was investigating certain former governors, former ministers, and ministry officials for various acts of misconduct and possible stealing and corruption. However, for the first time, which is an indication of some progress, no names were mentioned. And maybe they're starting to imbibe global best practice. Now, it's one thing to tell us investigations have started, but at the end of the day, are we going to see any possible arraignments? Because the truth of the matter is, even to the blind in Nigeria, it is clear that some public officials, past and present, have stolen public money. It is clear. What do you intend to do about it? And we've noticed that in previous administrations, part of their complaint was they had immunity. Now there's no immunity, and let's see what comes out of this. Let's see who's arraigned. And that's what it is. I'll end here.
Well, the message got in already, so as we wait for the days ahead, let's get back to Gbubemi Atimomo with this paper. That will be your final paper for this morning. Let's see where that's coming from. The Vanguard newspaper, and this one is saying Nigeria to partner Turkey to combat transnational crimes. Well, when I saw this headline, like I said earlier, I'm waiting for you guys to come. It was more like, well, when two hands, when two countries wash, each other's hands, it looks like it will be faster and cleaner. That's what it's looking like. But walk us through how effective this collaborative transnational efforts would look like.
Okay, so the Minister of Police Affairs, Senator Ibrahim Gaidam, was the one who made the announcement, when he received the Turkish ambassador to Nigeria, Mr. Hidayet Bekrata. And essentially, it's an opportunity for Nigeria and Turkey to partner together to address transnational security issues. The minister said that Nigeria would work with Turkey in the area of procurement and use of unmanned aerial vehicles for precise mapping, surveillance, and intelligence-led policing. If you recall, terrorism is an issue that has hampered part of our activities around the northeast and the northwest. Turkey also has a bit of those issues as well. Putting that aside, also Nigeria and Turkey have also had very good relationships, a relationship rather in the past. If you recall, when there was an earthquake in Turkey, Nigeria also sent money to them. So there's a relationship already, and this is an opportunity for both countries to be able to tap into the resources of each other, to be able to address their specific common problems. So part of this is just an opportunity for us to be able to benefit from the resources, military might, scientific resources that Turkey has, and them also benefiting from the resources that we have. So the ultimate intention is for them to sign two agreements on security cooperation,
Yes.
and an MOU on cooperation and law enforcement training, so that we can both benefit from each other.
Thank you very much, Gbubemi, and that leads us to our final paper, which will clear up, and then we'll wrap up with the messages. Lots of them waiting. So, Mr. C, walk us through this next story from the Daily Trust. The Nigerian Broadcast Commission (NBC) social media, one of Nigeria's major problems. It will be regulated.
Okay, thank you. So the DG of the NBC has indicated that a proposed social media regulation bill has been sent to the National Assembly for assent, and in that bill, the proposed bill, it seeks to give the Nigerian Broadcasting Commission powers to regulate social media. And in the personal opinion of the NBC DG, social media is one of Nigeria's major problems. Well, that's, like I said, it's his personal opinion. I don't agree with him. Yes, social media has its flaws. There is the prevalence of false and fake information, but I'll keep my gunpowder dry.
Hmm.
I haven't seen the proposed amendments, so I cannot speak with any certainty as with regards to provisions. When I see the proposed draft bill and I match it in line with the provisions of the Constitution, then I'll have a clearer and more categorical position to share with the listeners. Thank you.
All right, so let's leave it and move away to the stories that's relating now to messages relating to the headlines we treated this morning. We've got Ken Ihetuge saying, good morning, and he says, did the president attend CSU or the BBC? That's from Sir Ken. And then I go over to picking a message from Femi Ashiru saying, well, can Mr. C verify whether the court documents mentioned outsourcing diploma replacement to external contractors, and if there is any mention of not seeing the copy submitted to INEC as we analyze? Let's provide a comprehensive report, not just selective information that aligns to our propaganda. That's Fola from Magodo. And next coming, our next one from Ajayi Oloni Lua saying, it has always been a Herculean task for government to keep the exchange rate stable because the CBN continues to sell Forex. It's only in Nigeria that the black market rate determines the cost of goods and services provided by even government. That's Ajayi Oloni Lua's thoughts this morning. I've got Barrister Dan Okuda who says, the problem of girl child education is more prevalent in the north. The northern governors are not doing anything in this regard. Dan Okuda. And gentlemen, you were the ones I was with the last time where we were told some girls will be paid fees to go to school. We picked up that story, and that was in the north also, right?
Yes.
Okay, so let's get into that. So Abbas Oladekbo sent in this message, and it says, Mr. C, always, okay. Anyway, thank you so much, Abbas, for your message this morning. Somewhere along the line, you guys will meet at the bridge. Well, let's see. Benga from Ikeja, it says, okay, let's move away. So thank you anyway, Benga, for your message once again. And Don Kelvin says, Pastor Dapo needs to go back to reading his Bible. And then it goes on and on. Well, see, just get your message across reacting to the headlines. Thank you very much. Pastor Dapo did his bit. Don Kelvin, I also like to also read your response to the headlines. Let's get back to this next one. British had never been in the side of good things for Nigeria. How can they refute information given through oaths by the CSU official concerning the president's certificate? What a British standing to gain in insincerity. Idima Puza sent in that one. And with enough time to get in, Olu from Malaka saying, the issue is not whether he attended CSU, but that the certificate submitted to INEC was not issued by CSU. Forgery can only be proved after a criminal trial. So BBC or anyone else cannot determine if there is forgery or not. And Mr. C, wise word. Ibukun from Ketu. One more. Austin from Satellite. EFCC wants to investigate some former governors and minister. The newly appointed EFCC chairman worked under, it goes on, yet to be appointed by Magu. So